How you doing? That's me. How you doing? I'm doing well. Yourself? Nice. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Good morning.
Hi. How's it going, guys? Very nice to see you. How are you? Very nice. How are you? Not bad. Not bad. It's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with it. Thanks for being here.
So anyway, this is.
You guys can come over here and don't, don't be shy.
Good morning. I know you're from New York and not Florida.
The movie people have to see. They got a little character. Thank you. Good to be here. Well, we try. It's a big passion of ours. It's something we do a lot of, and both Second Amendment's very important to us because we believe in that, but we also get out in the woods, and I think that's perhaps what kept us pretty grounded growing up, at least, and as grounded as possible, and kept us out of all our trouble. So I like to talk about it and encourage it because I can get my kids out in the woods instead of playing video games and doing them a good service, and I think everyone else will benefit from this too.
It's good for your guy here, and you're in the right.
I think we're in the right place. We're in the right place. Yeah.
Great. Thank you
We'll
for
come from
coming.
New York, but we make it happen anyway.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Sure.
For the teenagers.
How are you?
Hi, Marcus. Welcome to the man.
Hey, Jake. How you? Nice to meet you.
Diana Pearson. Thank you so much.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you.
Morning.
All right, sure.
All right.
Awesome.
Thank you. Want a picture with me, Jacob?
Well, this feels awfully formal for us, but
If anybody wants a picture, it's, all right, ready? All right.
There you go. Nice. Thank you.
no, my pleasure, guys. No, thank you.
Here's your camera. Let's see, I guess I'll take one as well. All right. Oh, just
Who's taking the picture?
Oh, I'm sorry. Can you take a selfie?
Come on, Mom.
I can't. I'm not good at selfies.
Okay, so
Yeah, sure. That's a bigger one than the one.
that's good.
Okay, perfect. All right. Bad hair day.
Oh, sure.
We'll wait.
You sure? Okay. Well, you know, okay.
No problem.
We do it at the end.
Yeah, sure. I'm the oldest guy. Yeah, very nice.
What's the matter?
Yeah. Oh, I like it. I haven't seen that one yet. Come on, let's do it.
Yes.
Let's do it.
Do you know where that's going to be piped?
No, but it's online. I saw it. 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, that was great, guys. I'll see you later.
Sorry, you have to tell us a little more here.
I gotta tell you some more, guys.
Hold on. Beautiful. Good. Thank you very much. Thank you.
One chin.
Yeah. No, I got the same issue. Don't worry.
What's another one then?
I want to thank your dad for, I'm a disabled vet.
Oh, well, thank you for your service.
And he's wonderful, and I like to see him clean up the VA.
Well, we'll talk about that in a second, because maybe we'll.
Sorry.
Well, that's something that obviously means a lot to us when he walked out of the debate, last week. He's been talking about it. People say, "Oh, it's media stuff," but he's been talking about this since debate number 1.
Oh, sorry.
How much money the networks were making on that, he was saying, hey, you guys should be donating to this, and he's been talking to it, and finally, you know, they sort of crossed the line with him, and, you know, like he's gonna do with this country. He's not gonna take nonsense from anyone. It's a ridiculous, and so we put together that event for the VA in about 9 hours. John Walding, who spoke, is a personal friend of mine because of the shooting sports and stuff like that. I know a lot of guys like that. I'm a competitive high-power shooter, and so, you know, I traveled the country doing that, and, you know, rank master class and all that, so I do a lot of it and have a lot of friends in that world, and then through the outdoor stuff, same thing. There's, you know, so many guys that, you know, there's a lot of cross-pollination, so I know so many of those guys, and so, literally, John Walding, who spoke at that event, was just a buddy of mine. I got on the phone, I was like, John, can you come up? 100%. You know, 6 hours notice, right? Hey, you gotta speak in front of millions of people on live TV. Happy to do it for you. Jeff Kyle, who's Chris Kyle's brother from American Sniper, he was down in Dallas as well. He said, yeah, I'll come up too. You know, just Jake Schick, who started the 22 Kill Foundation for, you know, all the guys that are coming back with PTSD who are committing suicide. You know, who's pretty seriously wounded, but he came up, and because it was such short notice, and because it was Iowa, you know, 2 days before the caucuses, you couldn't get into Iowa. So I had a friend down there who was like, hey, you're doing this? Flew him up on his private plane just to get him up there so they could be there for the event. In about 9 hours, we raised $6 million for a cause that means a lot to us. So it's great to be able to do something about it and just even highlight the issue, because not enough guys are doing it. You know, they pay good lip service to it and they talk about it, but there's, you know, as usual in politics, it's all talk, no action. You know, until the next election cycle, and then they get their special interest to re-elect them and try to you know, get them back in power, and they go back to doing nothing and serving those people as opposed to the people who really need serving.
Can you imagine that, you know, I go to the VA, the Veterans Administration office in the federal building in Manchester, and I file paperwork with them on a form, and I fill it out. And you know where that form goes? They are so incompetent, they can't scan it into a computer. It has to be put in a pouch and sent to Georgia for another monkey to put it in the computer. So do the math. You know what I mean? It's a disgrace.
Well, it's typical government waste. And it's not just the VA, by the way.
No,
I mean, it's everywhere. I mean, you could take 30% off of every government bureaucracy, you know, off the top, and you wouldn't miss a beat. You know, I see it all the time, you know, going around the country. You know, guys, you know, I investigate welfare fraud for the state, and my boss won't even let me prosecute more than 10% of the cases that are flagrant violations, because if we actually do it and eliminate the problem, they're going to downsize our budgets. I'm saying, what kind of thinking is this? I mean, it's so insane. It's so frustrating as a business guy and as an American, as someone who cares about the country. My father's seen that, and you know, he doesn't need to do this. You know, this is not the next step in his job description. He can sit back and play golf, do whatever he wanted for the rest of his life. But I mean, he really believes in this country and that it's a great place. And that,
he's so passionate.
You know,
That's what I tell him.
this is a horrible and thankless process. I'll say that. You know, running for this thing, I mean, it's a, and he's doing it passionately. He wants to, you know, change this stuff. Politicians aren't going to do it. You know, they're not capable of doing it because they've never done it outside of politics, right? There's a big difference between, you know, I love listening to the governors. Look at all the jobs I created. You know, you didn't create anything. If the governors of all the states went on vacation for 3 months somewhere else in the world, nothing would stop. Everything would keep going. It would be just fine. You know, it's so ludicrous when they claim these things. And my father's the only guy that's actually had real people whose families, whose livelihoods depend on him and his success. And he's had those people for 10, 20, 30, some guys 30, almost 40 years now. You know, those people have shown such loyalty to him, which is why he probably didn't do it in 2008 and 2012 when he really started talking about it. You know, we weren't old enough to, you know, he wasn't going to step away with tens of thousands of people depending on him and saying, well, my kids could probably do it. They're in their 20s, they seem reasonably intelligent, but who knows? Because they've never done it. You know, now we've actually done it, and so he's really comfortable stepping away and saying, hey, you know, I believe that they'll be okay, and I'll believe those people who've shown me that loyalty will still be served in the way that they should be served. And, you know, that's the way he is. I mean, he's a loyal guy, and he believes in that. So we just want to change the system.
I just want to say something. I've been on the media for your father.
Yes.
And I just want to say to everybody, I can't find a more loyal person. He didn't know me from anybody, and you know, every time he sees me, he just thanks me. And that's what, when I go out and I talk to people about Mr. Trump, I just say, you know, he didn't know me, and he's just, the loyalty is with your father, and I just can't wait till the numbers come out tomorrow and he wins big up in New Hampshire, because he will be the greatest president this country has ever seen. I truly believe it from my heart.
Thank you so much. By the way, take the mic. I'll just sit here and relax. She's hired. She's hired. I can say nothing more, but no, that's amazing. Thank you so much. That really means a lot. And it's true.
He's a really kind gentleman.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, listen, people are like, well, what don't we know about him? And that's what you don't know about him, because the average person doesn't see that. And maybe you get it from The Apprentice a little bit. You see his sense of humor, his sort of, the funny he has there. But, again, when he's talking politics, he does keep that serious demeanor. And people ask, what's the thing you don't know about him? It's like, it's really that. I mean, he's a, and I say it, I get criticized every time I say it. I'm like, he's a billionaire blue-collar guy, like in his own way, you know what I mean? He wants to watch a ball game and watch, and eat a cheeseburger. He understands those people. There's executives in our company that are executives that start off as doormen. Right? It wasn't because they were doormen that came from Harvard. It was because they were doormen that had street smarts and got stuff done. And he'd ask them something, and he picks everyone's brain, as you probably heard. He'll ask you a question about what you think, and he may have the biggest advisors and the best in the business here, telling them, but he wants to hear from regular people, because he also knows that some people will tell you what you want to hear.
Yeah.
They won't always tell you the truth or the hard truth, and
Right. And
he's all about hard truth.
I want to don't want to cut you off, but I do want to admit this, that there was some experts in a VIP room to talk about the statistics of, there was Robert Bazile, he's a rear admiral of Charleston, South Carolina, expert in the military. There was a guy, Matt Goodman from Mission Leads program. So we had some experts, okay? And I'm sitting in the back room. I'm volunteering on the Trump campaign. I'm not the experts, but he still asked me for my opinion. And I'm sitting there going, and I gave my honest to God's opinion based on my experience. And the people that were there were discussing issues about, how 73% of the youth, they don't qualify, them in the military don't necessarily qualify. There's an issue there of obesity, of the dumbing down, education, that, a lot of these kids, they can't think and reason, and so military has an issue with this. And so then he asked me for and then in addition to that, he asked about Common Core and all these issues. And these are people they have the statistical data, they're the experts, but then he asked me for my opinion, what do I think? And I was just amazed. I'm going, because I'm just a small town volunteer, and it gave me like this sense of pride that this is going to be a president. He cares not just the ones that have the number statistics based on numerical data, but the people that are actually even the little guys there. So I just said there's something about his leadership skills. That's great leadership, in my view. He wants it from all angles. He wants to know the information from all angles. And so I just thought, and I did. I gave my opinion, and I told him. I said, well, my children, they never had an issue with Common Core. It was a breeze to them. They're very bright students. But if the teachers are having an issue with it, and it's affecting the way they educate, and kids are losing out, and the parents don't want it, let it be a local issue. And he respected my opinion just as much as he respected those others that are in other fields, and they do the statistical data and the numbers and so forth. He respected my opinion just as much. And let me tell you, I felt proud. I felt really good, and I said, that's the man I want. Because if he cares about what I think, I'm like, he's a great leader. He's a great leader. And he didn't even know who I was when I was in that role. He didn't have a clue.
Well, that's what he's done it time and time again. I mean, like I said, there's guys who started off as drivers and doormen that are literally running businesses of ours because they were just smarter than other people. They worked harder, they had more street smarts, they got it done, they had common sense, and he gave them a chance. And the reason they're so loyal is because they know that no one else would have given them a chance like that, and they'd be stuck on those, those different jobs for a much longer period of time. And so, he'll give everyone that kind of opportunity. And
I just thought that was wonderful. To me, that's real leadership skills, because he gets it from all angles. And he wants to know more input and more. And I thought that was great. That was fantastic. People recognize you?
Yes, not always. Sometimes, when I'm in my outdoor stuff, I can put a hat and a flannel on and usually go pretty under the radar. I think in a suit, a little bit less so. So it depends. But yeah, I get to be a chameleon a little bit, I guess. The best of both worlds right now. Let's see how long that lasts. But right now, you know, if I go casual, it's sort of sometimes you get the look and they're trying to figure it out. Usually I'm just, you know, by the time I'm a little too far away before they figure it out, and then when it comes, it's too late. So it's good.
If you put the camo on, we probably wouldn't recognize you.
Yeah, no, probably not.
You mentioned all talk, no action. In the last decade, we've been electing a lot of Republicans. We've listened to the talk. We haven't seen the results we wanted to see. We're hoping your dad is the man. What comfort would you give us that he is the conservative that he says he is, in what conservatism, generally speaking, means? We're not looking for the perfect candidate, but we want to know why we own the House, we own the Senate, and we don't stop things the way they are. If he gets in there, why are we to believe?
Because he's done it for 35, 40 years in business, right? You have people on both sides of the coin. You have people with opposing views. You have people with opposing interests in deals, whether it be here or the deals, what we've done abroad. You can't just go into there in a vacuum saying my thing's always right, and to her point of listening to other people, hearing their points, and then working. Yeah, you just have to make deals that actually work for you and for your belief system, right? But you have to be able to convince those people of it. You have to be able to sell it on them. You have to be able to get them to understand what those things
But
are.
there's a whole other side that doesn't want to let that happen.
Correct, but you have to
How do
listen.
we go over the
You have to
waterfront?
call him out to task.
Yeah.
You can't let him get away with the stalemates. And listen, he's not a conventional politician. He doesn't play by the same rules of decorum that these other guys have. Where, okay, well, you don't call me out on this, and I won't call you out on this. He's not afraid to call someone out and hold him to task. And he'll do that very publicly and very openly. And he just plays by a different rule set because that's what it takes to survive in the real world, not in the little the bubble of politics, which is very aggressive and very harsh, but it's also still. They live in their own little, magic world that, where nothing happens and, except for press releases.
Is he going to bring about the change that we've been wanting from these other Republicans?
I think without question. I mean, listen, what's
That's
happened
what
as of late with both sides. Everyone gets in, they make promises, no one delivers on anything. I think it's time to change that system to bring in a non-politician and let them actually do that. Bring in someone who's not stymied by the same thing, who's not looking to then, make that next step. And, everyone gets in and they get themselves on a little subcommittee so they can say, okay, now I have foreign policy, check. They sat there for 6 months in a couple of meetings and didn't vote on anything and didn't show up when it comes time to vote. That's not real foreign policy experience. Foreign policy experience is actually dealing with governments and dealing with people, all over the world and actually doing that with your own money, putting your own money where your mouth is, and making that happen. And that's what we do, and that's what he's done for decades.
We're people watchers. We watch candidates. One of the things that we really like about your dad, we see in the moment he can assess and he can make a decision.
Yeah.
And a lot of people criticize he doesn't have this experience, that experience. But I personally believe that once you're in the situation, if you have those abilities, you will pretty much always make the right decision. And that's what I like about him.
Well, I mean, look at him. He's been a politician for all of 5 months. And he's doing pretty well against all these career politicians who've been doing debates and training for this stuff, and they have teams and they have hundreds of millions of dollars. It's not their own money that they can spend it willy-nilly and just put it wherever they want. They didn't earn a cent of it. They're just working for other people. And they've been doing this for the last 25 years. Yet he's beating them in all the polls. He's beating them nationally across the board. He's beating them in the debates because he's more quick-witted. They talk about all the things and accomplishments they've done, but whether they've really done, nothing. So I mean. I don't know if it was a statement or a question, but yes, I agree. It's basically a question, but that's why. I mean, those guys in the real world, look at it. There's no track record in the real world. They've never done anything outside of politics. It just doesn't work anymore.
I don't want to monopolize, so go ahead.
No problem.
But I do have one other question. Underlying the winning of the deals and all that other stuff, I personally see that there's a move afoot to re-educate our population from the ground up in a not so good way, from foreign sources. We can talk about a lot of different stuff. Does your dad see really that our education system, universities, school systems have been populated with people that want to teach another America?
Yes.
Yet, so it kind of tears us down.
Well, there's very few conservatives in, let's call it in academia right now, right? That's without question. And that's why you have a lot of problems. When you talk about the student debt crisis, that's $1 trillion problem that very few people are actually talking about. And it's because it's not so much that there's such a thing as a wasted education, but there's no value proposition to a lot of the education that people are getting. You know, when you get your degree in underwater basket weaving, that's great, but you go on to get your master's and your doctorate in the same thing, and it serves no practical application. There's no way that that education, that knowledge can really ever pay back the loans that you're talking about to get there. You know, when you have hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt for a job that's a low-paying job, you know, if those same people said, hey, you know, maybe drink a few less beers during college and you know, go learn electrical engineering, you know, you probably wouldn't have that same, you know, same kind of issue. So, you know, a lot of that's whether it's vocational training, whether it's, you know, advanced degrees in math and sciences and these sort of things. I mean, those are the kind of things that you push. So when you talk about the free education, nothing's free. It's all going to be paid for by someone. It's going to be paid by me, by you, by others, you know, in this room for someone else to do a degree that's never going to be accretive to the rest of society. They're never going to ultimately then be able to contribute back into that system to keep it going. It doesn't work. It's not feasible. So, you know, a lot of that's going to be about getting people to also pick things that make sense and that you can ultimately then make a living with.
Just a general question. So, understanding that no executive, an executive is only as good as the leadership team he assembles.
Yes.
So, when elected, can you talk a little bit about makeup in terms of who he would put in some of the key cabinet? People actually driving those organizations, VA and things like that?
Just like anything else, right? There's a process. It's not going to be okay, like you hear in politics all the time. Well, it's his turn or it's her turn. You know, it's not how that works. You know, in the real world, you got to get people to have a real track record of success. You got to be able to motivate them to do it. You got to put them in those kind of positions. Not because this guy's been here for 20 years, and even though he's has tenure and is sort of coasted by, he's the natural person for the job. You got to find someone who's actually done it, who's done it for real. I mean, that's why you have great business guys. You know, the Carl Icahns of the world who kind of I'm for Trump, and I'll volunteer my time. I've made $20 billion on my own, and but I'll do these kind of things. And you have John Kerry, who the only good deal he ever made was marrying someone who happened to be very wealthy, twice. Phenomenal businessman, but he may not. Hey, listen, a good way to make money. I guess it's pretty easy, but he's not the guy you should be having negotiate these deals with countries for $150 billion. I mean, have someone that actually has negotiated something. It'd be nice.
Transparency, Carl Icahn actually drove my country to be acquired, which made my personal life pretty miserable. But even I can step back and admit and admire that is a guy who wants to negotiate a trade deal.
Correct. You would rather him be on your side of the table than the other side of the table, even with hindsight. I'm sorry it didn't work out that well, but it's because he's good at what he does. You get those kind of guys, and you put them in those kind of power positions, and that's when you'll get real change. Not a government bureaucrat who's never done it. And they're there because no one else wants that job anymore.
So not for the cart before the horse, obviously you need to be nominated first, but
you got a long way to go.
In the background in terms of what direction is he already thinking about those types of?
I think he's focused on getting there first.
Yeah.
Once you're there, then you can make those decisions and really concentrate on it. But I think you got to dedicate the time to this right now, and that's his focus.
I hope Donald really comes back against Hillary. And not only Benghazi, there are wounded warriors died, but let's go back in time and let's talk about Vince Foster. Let's talk about Travelgate. Let's talk about all the dirty tricks this woman has been into for years, and no one has put the beam on her. I mean,
I think he handles things very differently, so I don't think that's something you have to worry about.
I think we'll hear about that.
Oh, probably. I would say it's a safe
We're
assumption.
hoping we hear more about that.
I would say that would be a very safe assumption.
Yeah.
They have a very opposite extreme style where Hillary, I noticed over the years, I followed her, I guess, I tried to analyze people pretty much for years and years, and I noticed that she sits and waits and waits and waits to see what the hot topics are, like the general people and other people bring issues forward, then she'll come in and discuss those issues. She's never been Trump's the opposite. Trump will speak up, he speaks his mind when he sees something, and he'll see it ahead of time.
Leading from behind versus leading
exactly.
Immigration.
Right, but I mean, as kids, he really got involved.
Oh yeah, no, of course. Hey, listen, that was something that was incredibly important. Always so.
One more question, though?
Nope.
And then we can wrap it up.
I guess the thing I wanted to ask is that I know that all laws are really enforced or predicated by our judicial system in the country. And it's interesting that we have judges
that are crooks. And like, how do we get rid of this? How do we?
Well, the Supreme, you'll probably get 2 Supreme Court justices, and then, whoever's next term is basically aging, call it the laws of nature. They'll write a bad job of, putting people who, well, either they've done a good job, depending on how you want to look at it, right? They put in justices who are, obey the law and the Constitution. The left puts people who are, left-wing social activists on there who don't necessarily follow the Constitution, and so.
Take a picture.
I get one with my phone too.
Would you keep this rolling and then I'll grab it on the other side so you just keep it rolling. I'll get you. We'll get you.
That's right, that's huge.
With a capital Y. Hi Ken, how's it going?
Get out and vote. Yeah, I'm sorry I didn't go to work tonight.
Yeah, more important business at hand. My pleasure.
Hey, it's Frank from New England for Trump, and I'm here with Donald Trump Jr.
How's it going, New England for Trump? Make sure you go vote.
Absolutely.
Especially in New Hampshire tomorrow.